You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy. Zure garuna entzuten ari zara zuzenean programa laster hasiko da. Gozatu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, and I got a real problem with MLK Jr. lovers, all right? And in general, how our society views this fella. You may have been taught that this guy was a stand-up citizen who just wanted to sit at lunch counters with whites. Quite frankly, as a white, I can't imagine why. We are horrifically dull and monotone and uninteresting in general. The false Christian, the phony public speaker, MLK in general rejected the divinity of Christ, the virgin birth. He claimed to be a pastor, then cheated on his wife with over 40 people. Listen, it's not even his fault. Coretta Scott King was not the finest black woman I've ever seen. Why settle for a Rosa Parks when you can go out for a Megan Thee? I get it. That doesn't excuse him, though, of apparently watching and encouraging sexual assault for his own pleasure. Plagiarism scandals, all that junk, indicated that he presented work that was often others. Stanley Levinson, Jewish lawyer and communist sympathizer, shocker, was actually King's closest advisor. He wrote speeches for MLK, formulated his donor groups, organized his media appearances. Stanley Levinson really is the figure that many people think of when they think of MLK's views. And in this case, many people don't actually know all of King's speeches were ghostwritten. He called for social and racial wealth redistribution, a ridiculous idea where we punish you for your race's past misdeeds in order to prop up young brothers who can't decide to just pick up a pencil instead of picking up a gun. Sorry, guys. Furious Styles agrees with me. You gotta think, young brother, about your future. The reason they fly in the coke is because you've proven yourself a community who's willing to take it. I love how everyone loves to blame the CIA for the drug epidemic. And yes, obviously, Bill Clinton let them fly in drugs to Mena, Arkansas. But guess what? No one was sticking a gun to your mouth and making you guys take it. No one was plaguing, certain communities. I was about to say colored communities, but it was whites too in, Appalachia or whatever. No one is plaguing these communities with violence, drugs, more so than the very people who call the community home. Folks, listen, the greatest psyop in history possibly may have been the civil rights movement. While it was originally rooted in the idea of many people's minds that they wanted to go to polling booths without getting lynched. Many people don't realize the movement was co-opted with this Marxist undertone by many individuals. Many people don't realize the movement at large was not based around the fulfillment of Christian values, fulfilling equality, all that junk, whatever. It was a movement largely organized and permeated through the culture by Marxists that may have used the veil of equality to spring forth an era of racial hierarchy and blame games. You're white. You're evil, white boy. Give me money. Your people oppressed my people. It's all about my people, my group. The people who think in these terms are the real tyrannical racial monsters, looking for the opportunity to box people into clean little neat categories and groups. People like me, they make those fellas nervous because my skin's white, my lips are black, my nose is Latin, and my brows are Jew, and Guinea's my favorite slur. People like me make them sweat. And if you're into racially dividing, and if you're into all of that, the group culture, group think, brown bitches will tell me you're too white to be hanging with the browns, and I'm like, well, you're not dark or light enough to be one of the right ones, so quit it. Would it be easier, honestly, if we were literally the color we described ourselves to be? If you went up to Norway and everybody was like paper sheet white, and then you went down to Africa, I guess, this is a bad example because I'm listing two countries where notoriously they have pale and very black people. Some countries, they're blanco, white. Some are negro, or as my grandma would have pronounced it, negro. Folks, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. They don't really care about us. And all the Vatican-led Jews are ready to poison your food and your culture all the same. Weather manipulation, poverty, sex crimes, drugs. When do you guys think the Great Flood is coming? Is Michael Jackson really an anti-Semite for making that song? It's true. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, aggravation, everybody allegation in the suite, on the news. Everybody dog food, bang, bang, shot dead. Everybody gone bad. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Folks, you can beat me, hate me. You can never break me, will me, thrill me. You can never kill me, chew me, sue me. Everybody do me, kick me, kite me. Don't you black or white me. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Speaking of kikes, 1877 Kars4Kids, they have had all their ads banned in California after a judge has ruled that the charity violated false advertising and unfair competition laws by using donations to pay for teenagers' trips to Israel. How surprising. And a $16.5 million building there. Okay. Many people don't realize that this is an actual true story. You're going to start sounding like a 1930s, Eurocentric individual if you don't talk about all the facts. So let's just jump right into it, why don't we? Ladies and gentlemen, I know I sound nuts, but the years-long court case began in 2021. When Bruce Pooterbaugh, weird last name, sued Kars4Kids, saying that he felt taken advantage of when he learned that his donation would not go to, quote, underprivileged kids from all over the U.S., according to court documents. Pooterbaugh said that he decided to donate a broken-down car left at his home after hearing the charity's ads over and over again on the radio. Viewing himself as a charitable person, Pooterbaugh donated the car with the understanding that the funds would go to children in need, specifically in California. After making his donation, though, he learned that the funds went to OORAH, O-O-R-A-H, a company dedicated to Jewish heritage and summer camps in New York and New Jersey. In a testimony that the judge described as strikingly candid, the company's chief operating officer, Esty Landau, Landau, said her organization does not primarily focus on helping economically disadvantaged children. According to court documents, she testified that Kars4Kids is a primary funding source for OORAH. She admitted that the donations funded matchmaking programs for young adults and trips to Israel for 17 and 18-year-olds. Not really children, if you think about it. According to court documents, in her testimony, she added that the company spent $437,000 on Middle East outreach and used the funds to purchase $16.5 million buildings, a building in Israel. Kars4Kids blasted the ruling, saying in the statement that they expect to win their appeal, describing the case as a lawyer-driven attempt to siphon off charitable funds from their own gain. They know all about the lawyers, ladies and gentlemen. We can get you maximum tax deduction for your donation. That infamously catchy line from the actual radio jingle. Listen. If you're gonna be donating to Jews, make it clear so that people know that, listen, the Christies have to make it clear. This is a Christian organization. And honestly, they're more often than not, they'll just flat out tell you, unless they're Salvation Army, in which case they'll traffic children behind the scenes and they'll tell you, the Christian little lettering and whatnot, it'll be right under the Salvation Army's thing. So you think that it's more so like connected to the government a little bit, but it's really not or whatever. And then, the Red Cross and whatnot, all of these other organizations that have weird so-so ties with child trafficking. If you also saw this ad back in the 2000s, 2010s, whenever you happened to see it for the first time, you, like me, probably thought that a lot of this was going to help out disadvantaged children. Are they giving kids my old beat-up Volvo? Or like, okay. Esty Landau has made it clear under oath that the organization does not primarily focus on helping economically disadvantaged children. Instead, she confirmed that Kars4Kids acts as the main bankroll for OORAH, a New Jersey-based Orthodox Jewish outreach group. Okay. According to court documents, so this has nothing to do with kids. Actually, the car donations were actually used to fund adult matchmaking services. I was gonna say matchmaking services. We're gonna get the youngins. We're going to get the youngins into arranged marriages. In all honesty, with the Middle East, I wouldn't be that surprised if this was Israelis doing the, we're going to marry each other off type of thing. They're that sort of a society. I'm not blaming them. That's just who they are. Okay, I need to hear it from the news. I need you guys to realize that I'm not a nut. I'm not some, I'm not Hitler. I'm not publishing. This isn't Mein Kampf, all right? But this, I'm just going to pass it over to CBS News so you guys realize that I'm not alone in this. God, this is cancer.
Chances are you've heard this jingle, but you may not hear it anymore.
Let's go back to Mike Rogers. Mike, a judge has ruled Kars4Kids can't keep using their ads.
Yeah, not in California. We've got the judge's ruling right here, and it all stems from what they're doing with the money after you donate a car to them. Now, this all stems from a case where a man in Orange County donated a 2001 Volvo to the organization. He got $250 for it, and he said,
$250?
According to the judge, he thought that money was going to go to underprivileged kids here in California.
Oh my God.
He thought that because of the ad.
Quick and easy. You'll get a vacation voucher and maximum tax deduction.
You'll get a vacation voucher to Tel Aviv and maximal tax deduction.
Cars for Kids. Donate your car to them.
These kids don't sound Jewy.
Kids are our future is what the text on the bottom of the ad says.
Never mind. That little girl playing the violin looks like Niam Balak. She looks like that one, the one Jewish brain surgeon, on Big Bang Theory, who's like, now I don't have to operate and save lives. I can just pretend to be a comedian the rest of my life.
But he was shocked to find out that the money doesn't go to kids in California at all. Instead, goes to Cars for Kids' sister foundation, URA, which is a Jewish organization based in New Jersey that actually benefits teenagers. Now, this case went to court in Orange County. The judge ruled that ultimately Cars for Kids is using misleading practices in advertising here in the state of California, which violates state law. I want to show you some of the testimony that was given in court, and this was in the judge's ruling. The COO testified that the organization's primary purpose is not to help economically disadvantaged children. The COO in court went on to say programs include matchmaking for young adults and gap year trips to Israel for 17 and 18-year-olds. That's where the majority of the funding is going. And then also admitted that Cars for Kids operates no functional programs in California.
Wow.
Except for a backpack giveaway that they admitted is also for marketing purposes and branding purposes. Let me give you the response from Cars for Kids. Cars for Kids says, we believe the decision is deeply flawed, ignores the facts, and misapplies the law.
It's a well-known fact that we are a Jewish organization that says we're benefiting children while also giving all the money to 17 and 18-year-olds.
Well, I guess under Jewish law, what do Jews consider to be children? What does Jewish law consider to be a kid? I just need to know this because technically speaking, they could go, it goes all the way up to 25, technically speaking. All right, upon reaching the age of 13 for boys, 12 for girls, of course it's younger for the girls, individuals become a bat mitzvah, making them fully responsible for their own actions and commandments. Of course, 12 or 13, good time for them. You know what I mean? Typical Middle Eastern culture to assume that you're an adult by that age.
It's well known that we are a Jewish organization, and our website makes it abundantly clear. Take a look and judge for yourself. And they gave us the link to their website. Their statement goes on to say, we believe this case was nothing more than a lawyer-driven attempt to siphon off charitable
You'd know about lawyers.
funds for their own gain. We expect to win on appeal because the law and the facts are clearly on our side.
Clearly on our side, despite the fact that we
About
lost.
the first part of the statement that the judge directly addresses here. You saw in their statement, look for yourself, go to Kars4Kids.org. But the judge says people that hear this ad on the radio or TV shouldn't have to go to the website to understand exactly where the funds are going.
Bam!
The judge says the ads do not make it clear that this is an organization benefiting Jewish children in New Jersey, and in fact, none of the funds, or a very small amount of the funds, are actually benefiting kids here in California. Now, as you heard from Cars for Kids, they plan to appeal, but this is a long-standing issue, and in fact, this issue has already been taken up in other states as well, and judges in other states have ruled in similar manner. So we'll see how they do on appeal, but for now, Cars for Kids commercials that we've all known for decades, no longer allowed to be played in California.
Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, for saving us from quite frankly, one of the worst earworms of that time period. I'm so glad it's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to hear that, Cars for Kids. You're going to have to figure out, listen, it's not that big of a deal. In all honesty, you listen, you still have a lot of heads of CEOs. You still serve the Jesuits. You still have a pretty solid place in the, the control of the Levant region, Israel. Listen, in general, the Cars for Kids is not going to be a big mark on the Jewish community. It's just another domino that's falling over in the great awakening that many people are having at this current moment. Jesus, what am I even saying? That in all honesty, the world is unfortunately controlled by the Vatican, serving through the formulations of the Freemasons, the Jewry that formulates in Israel. That quite honestly, you talk to a lot of the people. I don't talk to them, but you listen to their interviews, and most of the government in Israel, in all honesty, is secular. In all honesty, they don't. Most of them are atheists, much like how Jewish atheists infiltrated the civil rights movement in general. Ladies and gentlemen, we could go tons of different ways. We can talk about Marxism, how that largely grew out from Jewish atheism and unfortunate lanes of funding that nobody really likes to talk about because then they'll start to sound too Eurocentric 1930s. I will save my truth-telling for another day. However, that's not going to stop me from talking about Stardust solutions. Stardust solutions. I know it sounds like that sounds like something the Guardians of the Galaxy would be looking to find in the next movie or something. But this is not some sort of fluid material that's going to help. It's not like the what is it called in Dune? The chems fluid stuff that they're looking for. The spice. Yeah, that stuff. This is not the spice from Dune. It is an American-Israeli startup developing solar geoengineering technology, and it is planning to cool the planet by spraying sunlight reflecting particles into the stratosphere. Folks, if this already sounds like a bad idea, be worried. The company recently revealed that its previously guarded priority particles are made from amorphous silica, a common food additive, and calcium carbonate found in limestone. Folks, let's just get into it. Let's dive right into the facts. I don't want anybody to be coming at me saying that I'm saying untruths when I'm just dropping facts. Let's go. Stardust Solutions is an American-Israeli startup developing solar geoengineering technology, and they have plans to cool our planet by spraying sunlight-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. Folks, they are creating a proprietary mix of particles made of amorphous silica, a common food additive, and calcium carbonate, which is found in limestone. This is there's a debate happening, obviously. People are saying, oh, this might be 100% safe, Bill Gates, or, a lot of common sense thinkers are going, maybe spraying this into the air is more so a hideous risk that we should maybe try to steer ourselves away from. And listen, the plan currently is for teams of about 100 jets flying about 11 miles up, flying around us 24/7, spraying this chemical in the air. They want this running 24 hours a day, about 100 jets in different teams by 2030. The argument that they're saying right now is the proponents, they're pitching the approach as the necessary, the fast-tracked intervention, that it's avoiding the dangerous side effects of of older volcano-inspired sulfate-based methods, which, let's be honest, guys, if you don't know about the volcano-based sulfate, silicate that's been spraying into the air with chemtrails over the years, you're so behind. You gotta get on it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're one of those idiots that thinks, oh, the government can't control the weather, what are you talking about? You're retarded. You're actually... I'm sorry, I gotta swallow because there's so much saliva building up in my mouth because I'm so angry at you. I want to foam at the mouth at you. You are so behind mentally, physically. This is not you. If you know, you know. But if you're one of these people that hasn't figured out that the government can control the weather and you're still sitting on your hands and you're like, I don't know. You really think they could have that technology? They've had a bill limiting it in the use of war since the 1970s. You do not create a treaty for a weapon you do not have, ladies and gentlemen. They are saying that this is naturally occurring inert elements, amorphous silica and calcium carbonate. They're abundant. They're biodegradable. And the company, they're claiming that it's chemically inert and harmless to humans and the ecosystems. In all honesty, in control and whatnot, they haven't been able to prove it en masse because, in all honesty, once you introduce it to the general populace versus to a mouse that you're experimenting on, obviously it's going to be a little bit different. Stardust is engineering a system that they claim to be, they can be halted quickly if unanticipated environmental impacts can occur. Once you've started spraying it, in my personal opinion, it's already out in the atmosphere. When we let DuPont poison all those rivers up in Minnesota, was anybody too happy about that? When 3M was making, farmers, cows get all foamy at the mouth and lay down and die? Is anybody satisfied about that? Okay. The startup states that it will only conduct outdoor tests and deployments alongside governments with robust regulatory frameworks. What does that even fucking mean? The company has also published a 6-page academic paper detailing its particles and atmospheric modeling to invite scientific scrutiny. However, there is already the argument for the hideous risks coming from critics, including the environmental groups and atmospheric scientists, viewing the commercialization of solar geoengineering as reckless, ungovernable, and and an absolute gamble with many people's lives. Ecological and health uncertainty, even if the particles are safe in the upper atmosphere, scientists warn that the processed particles falling to the lower atmosphere could introduce unstudied health risks. And also many people are saying if a private company or nation pauses the continuous spraying of particles, the Earth's temperature could spike rapidly, creating a catastrophic terminal termination shock, in their words. Private control over the global commons in general, people are arguing that the atmospheric modification should not be a for-profit venture that a company in Israel, of all places, has their eye on, ladies and gentlemen. Listen. It could create uneven climate impacts that benefit some nations while harming others. We're seeing some scientists saying this could create droughts. Famines will already be hitting Africa this year with all of the bullshit that we've been doing. It's not as though we need to be heaving on, man-made weather disasters on these people even more so, even though that's probably what we're already doing. They manufacture the weather in the Middle East all the time right now, especially with the war. Why do you think it hasn't stopped raining in Iran in certain regions for weeks? There's also a lack of independent testing because the technology cannot be thoroughly tested without deployment on a planetary scale. Doing so poses an inevitable risk to the delicate global weather patterns. Folks, the exaggerated risk that many people throw out there, whether humans are murdering the planet, in all honesty, yes, does pumping our carbon into the air affect the atmosphere? Yes, slightly. However, when you look at global models of climate, when you look at, long-term history, there's more carbon in the atmosphere. There's a global greening effect happening, as a matter of fact, because what do plants thrive off of? Help me. I love how I have to explain this to some people that are like climate scientists. They're like, we're burning carbon. We're throwing carbon into the air. We're putting carbon dioxide in the air. What do you think plants thrive on? What do you think there's a global re-greening. Vast deserts are starting to show signs again. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, am I saying that I want there to be more carbon in the atmosphere than since the dinosaur age? No, because there weren't people around back then. But also, ladies and gentlemen, the planet goes through these cycles all the time. If we can move towards renewable energy sources, or even nuclear, by the way, if we can start talking serious, like about nuclear again, because not everywhere's Chernobyl, and most of the time people think of just older, water-based cooling systems that are bound to explode at a certain point. But if there are other ways that we can be doing this. Humans, in all honesty, we fearmonger, but we also have legitimate concerns. It's hard to find the balance in this weird little messed up world of ours, ladies and gentlemen. But geoengineering is not even an argument anymore. If you're still in the camp where you're like, I don't know if the government can really control it, you sound like a bit of a conspiracy theorist. You're a retard. And I want you out of don't listen to the show anymore. Because if you can't handle that base level information, I can't help you. No one is going to drag you into the light where you belong. I keep saying this to people, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you belong? It's up to you where you belong. Okay, let's hear, 5 years ago, I have a clip from CBS News about them talking about geoengineering, just so I can confirm it for all the retards.
In Climate Watch, the climate crisis has sparked innovative new technologies aimed at reversing the human-caused warming of the planet. But some of these methods are controversial, and the climate community is split on how to move forward. For more, I'm joined by CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli. Jeff, let's start with the basics. What is geoengineering, and how far along is the science?
So I find this fascinating because it's essentially man-made manipulation of the climate. And obviously it's very controversial. So it's essentially us engineering solutions to the climate. Like behind me, that is direct air capture. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about solar radiation management, which is dimming of the sun. All of these things are somewhat new, or at least they need a lot more research to really get better and become robust, but they do generate a ton of controversy.
Let's get into the specifics. We'll start off by discussing carbon capture. Tell us how it works, and why are some members of the climate community so skeptical of it?
So there are a couple of different types of carbon capture. The first one, most common one, is when you're making products, industries making products, or making electricity, power plants, as those fossil fuels are being burned, what happens is a lot of that carbon dioxide is then sucked up before it gets released into the atmosphere. So that's one type of carbon capture. The other kind is right behind me. It's literally sucking carbon dioxide right out of the atmosphere, which is a tougher process. This one is more in its infancy. But just to give you an idea, we can only extract about 1,000 times less carbon dioxide than we're putting out into the atmosphere right now. So this right now is not scaled by any means. It's not ready for prime time, but the hope is that at some point it will be.
So maybe one tool, but not necessarily the tool. Let's talk about solar geoengineering. It's a technology that's really still in its conceptual phase, as I understand it. So tell us how it would work and how effective it might be.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So you can kind of see it behind me. What you do is you fly planes into the stratosphere, about 60,000 feet into the atmosphere, and you just spray aerosols, and it blocks out, it dims the sun. Enough of the sun to perhaps reduce temperatures by around 1 degree Fahrenheit. Of course, you wouldn't want to do too much of that. It's very simple. It's very inexpensive. It may only cost...
It's very simple. No need to worry about it. Why would you even need to do the science about it, ladies and gentlemen? Why won't you just let us poison your atmosphere the way that, well, the stratosphere, and I guess the troposphere eventually, but why won't you just let us poison you? You already let us do it to the fucking food. You're still going to McDonald's, you good goy.
Do too much of that. It's very simple. It's very inexpensive. It may only cost a few $1 billion a year.
It may only cost a few $1 billion a year.
The reason why we know it works is because about 30 years ago, Mount Pinatubo, and anytime we have a really big volcanic eruption, it shoots all those aerosols into the stratosphere that dims the sun, and we measure a temperature that usually goes down for Pinatubo is about a 1 degree temperature.
1 degree. But keep in mind, you're going to be doing this every single day. You're going to be erupting volcanoes around the Earth every single day in the stratosphere. How great of an idea does it sound when I voice it in that context? Anybody alive for Mount St. Helens explosion? Anybody alive for any major, like, I know maybe any Mount Vesuvius crowd in here tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe not. Maybe you in the back. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Nice granite. Okay, let's just hear the last bits.
Drop over the course of 1 to 2 years or so. So we know it's effective. It's about a 1 degree temperature drop over the course of 1 to 2 years or so. So we know it's effective. But because it's so inexpensive, it really freaks a lot of scientists out. Because it could be done unilaterally. It could be done by a small nation. It could be done by a really, really rich person. And we don't know what the side effects are. There hasn't been much research at all yet into this, and certainly there needs to be a lot more of it. But a lot of scientists and a lot of people in the climate community don't even want to go that route because they're afraid if we do this or the carbon capture that it may delay our transition over from fossil fuels. It may kind of kick the can down the road and allow us to use fossil fuels for a longer...
There's not going to be a transition off of fossil fuels. Anybody who is still on that nonsense, the idea that we're going to get entirely off of fossil fuels, they're not living in a reality that we can currently maintain. Wind, solar, all that bullshit, it still relies on petrol. You can go listen to Billy Bob Thornton rant about it if you want. I can never voice it in as fluid or as masculine or as, quite honestly, sexy a way that he could. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? You go watch that Landman show once or thrice. Yeah, it'll give you a comfier image of Mexicans, and you'll be mildly more conservative around the environment. There you go.
When the other solutions like renewable energy, solar, wind, nuclear, hydro, all those things are ready and raring to go, and they're moving very quickly. So most folks in the climate community don't love it because it could be a distraction. Oh, and by the way, when it comes to solar geoengineering, so blocking the sun out, if you ever stopped, let's say you did it for 30 years, and then you stopped, all of a sudden, almost instantaneously, all that warming that you would see over that time, that would occur almost instantaneously. It could be catastrophic. So there are a lot of concerns with this. This is kind of a don't do it until you break glass in case of emergency kind of situation.
So this is 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I put this in the description. It is called Geoengineering, a controversial solution that could help fight the climate change crisis. Listen, this is 5 years ago. They were saying this is a bad idea. The moment you stop spraying it into the atmosphere, we're going to have a catastrophic warming of the planet. You've been offsetting that warming. It's just going to pour back in. Who in their right minds is going this is a grand idea? This is a grand old bargain for us in the United States. We love a good bargain, and so do the Jews, so we work well as a community.
That's so interesting, Jeff, because, when you're first describing it,
Is
sounds
it?
like, well, there's the answer, right? Like, too much solar radiation, right? Let's just fix it by repairing almost the holes in our ozone layer. What you're saying, though, is that
listen, if I have these like thinky moments on the show, I understand if people click away, but like you can't be doing this when you're on the news. People are going to be switching the channel. This girl's an amateur. Christ.
If we were ever to stop that, immediately all the cumulative effect. Am I understanding you correctly? The cumulative.
Let me throw in a smart word: cumulative effect.
Fuck.
Stop that immediately. All the cumulative effect. Am I understanding you correctly? The cumulative effect of what we've blocked would immediately come and radiate down on the Earth.
Radiate.
It's true if we hadn't already taken out the carbon dioxide. So remember, this doesn't take out the carbon dioxide right here. So the carbon dioxide is just building up that whole time. That's why people are afraid to employ this, because if you do this, maybe you don't do as much of the carbon capture, or maybe you just keep burning fossil fuels. 30 years later, you have a lot more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden, you've been artificially reducing temperatures, all of a sudden, bang, those temperatures go way up, and now you're dealing with a real catastrophe because everything has to adapt that much faster. So it's precarious. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I always say that, but it's important.
You said that? Wait a minute, you guys. Wait a minute. I think this is the guy. Wait, you did that? That's your thing? That's fucking crazy. Can I get your autograph? Wait a minute. Like, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that lyric. That's like one of everybody's favorite lyrics.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I always say that, but it's important.
That's off your classic album.
Interesting concept. You're going to be hearing a lot more about it in the future. Hopefully this is something we don't ever have to do, but in case of an emergency, we could actually reduce atmospheric temperatures by a degree, and perhaps even more if we really needed to.
I can see why it's so controversial, but I can also see why it's potentially so exciting. Jeff, thank you.
Jeff, thank you. You're so welcome. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I will let you think to yourself whether or not you would love to be sitting on your porch, you and your mom, you're hanging out with your mom again. You guys haven't seen each other in a while, and you have some shit to dish, in all honesty. You know what I mean? You guys go, you collect the information from your lives that you live separately, and then maybe like once every couple weekends, you get to sit with your mom again, and you're like, all right, let's just talk. And then then you and your mom, you're going to sit there on this porch this weekend and you're going to go, well, I mean, have you heard about this we're going to be sitting on this porch 2030s, and you're going to have that lemonade, but I'm going to tell you to cover it up because we don't know if the silica is falling into it. We don't know if the geoengineering, and your mom's going to look at you stressed out. She's going to be like, I was born in 1967. I really I'm not from a time where this stuff was ever talked about. I grew up in the 80s, you know what I mean? I was around for the stock market during that time. I did coke, you know what I mean? We were all just having fun. I was listening to Prince, I was dancing, and you listen to your mom and you love her stories because, in all honesty, you talk to your parents more. They've lived a life, and it's very interesting to hear about. And then, your mom, things felt different after 9/11. Talk to her about it. She'll probably tell you. She'll be like, yeah, it got weird once, you started looking at your phone and you started realizing that someone always knows where I am. Someone always because of this. And then you go into your car. Back when your mom was a kid, 80s, 90s, your mom got into the car. No one knew where that car was going. Nowadays, though, your mom gets in her car. The government could take that car over with a fucking digital, AI, type in the password. And the next thing you know, they're flying your mother off a cliff or into a tree. What I'm trying to say is, if your mom is not running alongside the CIA, running against them, then maybe you don't have anything to worry about. Your mom is just not used to this world. It's up to you to keep her informed. And this is going to be stressful, man. Your mom she's not going to take it well, in all honesty. Dad's not going to care. He is going to go, I'm gonna die 30, 40 or so years. Who cares? He's already realized that the stoic thing to do is to sit and to just kind of take it in. He's gonna go throw on maybe the Kevin Hart roast. He's gonna go throw on a cigarette like it's a fucking TV show, but it practically is for him at this point. He's gonna go throw on a cigarette and just fucking take a drag and sit and think about, man, sports were great in the early 2000s. Man, so-and-so had a great season that year. And then they're just going to sit, and then what the fun thing about growing up in America is that your parents have done it too, except their America looked entirely different. Not really per se, they were still growing up in this, but they were not, you know what I mean? The guy from Shark Tank wasn't going to be building an AI data center in their backyard anytime soon. It was just a guy your mom liked to watch on the TV, and in all honesty, she didn't like his attitude. Your dad liked his attitude. Your dad liked when he yelled at people, but your mom's favorite was Robert Herjavec. Your mom's favorite was Lori. Your mom's favorite was someone who was a little more, of course, the feminine spirit, a little more loving, a little more caring, a little more gracious. But, you're never going to get your parents to agree on, quite frankly, anything with you, except for if you voice it in the most common sense terms. You don't have to go up to them and say, hey, you guys grew up watching Schindler's List. You guys grew up in the 80s. You guys grew up without the internet. I understand you probably don't even know what a Freemason is. They probably don't. So it's up to you to help them. They didn't have the internet when they were kids. They didn't grow up in it. They were not watching cartel beheading videos on Live Leak in 8th grade. They in all honesty, it's kind of cute. They have like a smaller view of the world. It's like, it's not as global, but it's deep. It's just, if anything, it's deeper than your relationship with everything because you view it through a lens, you view it through a screen. Your parents actually lived it more often than not. Not you directly, but you know who I'm talking to if it's you. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we should move on. Have a good conversation with your parents this weekend. Everybody should value your parents while they're here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the rapid fire section of today's headlines. Lots of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy that I don't have the time to dedicate 3 or 4 paragraphs to, so we're just going to blast right through bang, bang, bang. We are going to talk about the British man in his 60s that has been detained at a bar in Milan, Italy. Despite being under strict hantavirus, quarantine orders, he apparently thought that it would have been a great idea to go out to a bar. Him and his traveling companion were there. They were later taken to the Sacco hospital after being ordered to remain in isolation until early June as part of a 42-day quarantine day period. Folks, a 42-day quarantine day period. What am I even saying? Women can enjoy their golden years, so can men. But suddenly, when a man, because men, it's typical, they have to, they can't have fun without endangering themselves or others. Oh, I can't just play cards or backgammon with my boys and while we eat slices of cake at our table that we all live together. I love the Golden Girls, and the reason you could never do it with men is because men are just not the same types of creatures. And by the way, if you're a woman listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When men and women are inherently different, and if you cannot register that in your brain, that's perfectly fine. You're on your own journey in life. But whatever. Let's just talk about something else. You know what I mean? Men endangering themselves to have a good time, and others, quite frankly. Mike Johnson, my biological father in Congress, in all honesty, him and Rachel Maddow, William Barr, all 3 of these people got together, and I actually don't know who my father is. It could be William Barr, it could be Mike Johnson. Rachel kept telling me that it's just you're nearsighted. You know what I mean? I can't. Both of them are, so that's not really helping us figure out the equation. But in all honesty, they that one night of passion resulted in me, and whether or not William Barr or Mike Johnson is my real father, that doesn't really matter to me anymore. I see them both as fatherly figures. I'm happy that many of them have been involved in many plots to attempt to assassinate presidents and world leaders. I don't care. Folks, Mike Johnson cannot feed his kids on Congress's $194,000 a year salary, and we think single mothers are the problem. I mean, they kind of are, but damn, they're not walking around with $200K from their baby daddy, having that go down the drain going can I get another check this month? It's okay, Mike Johnson says that we need insider trading so that people can provide for their families. I want to hear it from Daddy's words himself. Dad, where's my meal?
The salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year.
Wait a minute. Okay, so he's going to talk in percentages. He's not going to talk about realities, which is that congressmen and congresswomen, I guess we pay them equally now, I guess. I don't know whose idea that was, but they're racking up almost $200,000 a year, and he's trying to get you to feel bad for who?
It goes down every year, and over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean,
let me translate. Dad, let me just help you, all right? I know that you don't know how to speak to the new gen. This is like every kid, you know what I mean? You got to go up to your dad and you got to go like, hey, yeah, I can word this in a better way for you. How do you expect us as Congress to get more employees if we cannot encourage them to engage in what Congress always has? Stealing money from the masses. How can we not? Listen, you might call it insider trading. They call it know-how. They call it knowing the right people. You might call it insider trading. Who's to say? Who made insider trading illegal in the first place? Some fucking loser, that's who.
It's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family
on
whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, residence at home, and do all.
Dude, it's tough. When when you run for Congress, you know what I mean? It's tough figuring out which house you want the kids living in. Do you want them living on the East Coast in Washington, D.C.? I mean, Trump's made that city safe ever since he moved in, got the National Guard, got fucking bums off the streets and whatnot. Or do you want them living back home in Atlanta or Mukwonago, Iowa, or Bing Shaling, Valada? I don't know. Where do you want your kids living? You have many options here, ladies and gentlemen. Why? And in order to make that decision as a family, they need to be able to do insider trading.
On whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy. Look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family.
Okay. Please let them engage in some stock trading so they can at least feed their goddamn families. So they can at least how's Tim Waltz doing it? He's not owning any stocks. He's somehow managing to feed his transgender daughter or whatever she is. I don't know what she is. She's got like something. She wears like fun outfits and has like piercings. So you know that she goes by some pronoun that's like, well, I don't even know if I'm calling her the right thing, but whatever. It doesn't even matter. I'm getting angry over nothing. I'm actually angry, ladies and gentlemen. We don't even need to be mad. Katie Porter is the one who should be mad. She is addressing the leaked video of yelling at her staffer. Folks, this is just called girl bossing, ladies and gentlemen.
Your voice, your vote. A new twist tonight in the California governor's race. The LA Times reporting a Tom Steyer campaign staffer leaked the video in which Katie Porter was caught berating an employee.
The Times says a briefing memo shows Kevin Liao, who's now a Steyer spokesperson, was supposed to film and edit the video for the Department of Energy and put it on social media. The encounter between Porter and her staffer was leaked to Politico and damaged her gubernatorial bid. She tells ABC 7 Eyewitness News the report raises questions.
It was official government work. I was doing official business, and it is against the law to take government property and use it for personal or campaign purposes.
You're totally right. Dude, actually, listen, Katie Porter, I have to agree with you on this 1,000%. I still love the fact that we got to see your big, dumb, ugly pig face being so nasty to that big, fat, ugly woman behind you. You got a big team of porkers working for you, I think. You need some facial angularity working on your team. I'm sorry. You guys don't know how to control your caloric intake. How can you control a country?
I think that's a government ethics issue. I think it raises real questions about whether his conduct was...
I think your double chin is an ethics issue. I think, honestly, your washed out, gross witch appearance in general, I'm a mom, but I look like I'm always running out the house with toast in my mouth like an anime girl. I'm so fed up with her fake, phony, I'm a strong girl. I'm like a girl, but like, I talk like a boy energy, all right? I'm like, not like other girls. Go ahead, Katie.
Steyer's campaign denies the candidate had anything to do with the leak. We reached out to Liao, but he declined to comment.
You know what? Because he's innocent, and he realizes that he did the nation a service by showing us the ugly side of Katie Porter, which is every side. We should really thank... you know what? There's nobody to thank here, ladies and gentlemen. Only if you were dumb, you couldn't see the person that she was behind her veil. When she was doing whiteboard magic and yelling at CEOs, like, how could someone live off of a wage you pay them, and they go... food stamps, EBT. I don't know. How do you guys think that I make it work? I'm the CEO. I don't control people's lives. They just show up and they do work for me. You think it's my job to make sure that they can go to get healthcare? Fuck you. All right. Christopher Nolan shot The Odyssey on IMAX film. I'm going to engage in the realm of the goy, ladies and gentlemen, because this movie, unfortunately, is shaping up in my mind as a bit of a concern ball. Let me voice these little tiny things for you. Many people have brought up the Ellen Page casting. Did I just dead name Elliot? I don't care. I like Juno more than any of his other movies. It's fine. He played a girl in that movie. It's okay. What do you want me to do about it? It's his career. What do you want me to... Stop yelling at me. Who made him play a pregnant woman? That's not me. It was a teenager also. It was a movie in Minnesota. It was actually pretty good. If you haven't seen Juno, I'd recommend it. It's fine. It's whatever. It's about teenage pregnancy. It's absolute goy slop. But it maybe less goy slop than The Odyssey. Listen, The Odyssey is a classic tale. It is undeniably one of the great books. The Iliad is even better, in my opinion. I actually prefer the Iliad, but whatever. Achilles, this actually factors in, because if Christopher Nolan is to be making the Iliad at any point in his career, it is possible that we could see in the role of Achilles, Elliot Page, whatever. It's hard. She was better in that movie. She was better when she was a she. Okay, whatever. It's not my fault. I call Caitlyn Jenner she. Don't yell at me. I call her governor. Whatever. The Odyssey was shot on IMAX film, and listen. Demodocus, a mythological character in the Odyssey by Homer. Demodocus is the poet. He's the one who visits the court of Elasinos, the king of the Phoenicians on the island of Phoenicia. He's the one that like pounds the thing and he goes, "A war," or whatever. Who is going to be playing Demodocus in this instance, in this version of the story? Travis Scott, ladies and gentlemen. Astro World King himself, Travis Scott, will be portraying Demodocus, an ancient Phoenician poet, because if you don't already know, the Odyssey was a poem that was originally memorized by orators. People would memorize the entirety of the story, the key lines, and it would be recited to a group of people, listeners. And essentially, what Christopher Nolan, in his mind, I don't know what he's taking, goes, oh, rhythm? Oh, a bit of a story, a narrative? That sounds like ancient rappers to me. And he went ahead and casted the blackest motherfucker. You couldn't even get Donald Glover, all right? You could get like a Childish Gambino could have been good for this role. It's not even that he's black. I'm gonna be honest with you. I realize that you're casting whoever the fuck you want in these roles. I realize that you want big faces. Robert Pattinson is a weird choice, in all honesty. And I'm just gonna be so honest with you. I don't see Odysseus as Odysseus. I see him as Matt Damon. I don't see Penelope as Penelope. I just see her as Anne Hathaway. I don't see Telemachus as Telemachus. I see him as Tom Holland. I think I could make a better version of the Odyssey, in all honesty. And it would be, by the way, my version of the Odyssey involves Odysseus. Telemachus is just hanging out with the wrong crowds. He's going to school and he's acting up in class, and then the teacher's like, "Telemachus, why you always got something to say?" And he's like, "'Cause I'm a comedian." And then she's like, "You want to come up and teach the class?" And he goes, "Sure." And then here he goes up, he teaches the class. He's like, "What's this place?" And everybody goes, "Ancient Greece." And he's like, "Yes, that's ancient Greece. What's this?" And then they're like, "It's Africa." And he's like, "Yeah, my daddy Odysseus told me that's where the first man's skull, body, the skeleton, was found. And that means every person's from Africa. All y'all." And then someone called him an African booty scratcher, and then they got into a fight. And then Penelope, once Telemachus gets home, she goes, did you forget about our agreement?" She pulls out a piece of paper and she goes, "I, Telemachus, vowed that I will not get in any conflicts at school. Otherwise, I will go live with my father, Odysseus. Signed, Telemachus." And then she has him in the chariot. They're riding through South Central, Ithaca. And they're going to Odysseus, and he is played by Lawrence Fishburne in this version, and he needs to teach Telemachus how to be a man. And I have other ideas for the story. There's a character named Doughboy. There's a character named Ricky. I'm working with a lot here, ladies and gentlemen. But I think, in all honesty, listen to my pitch right here, right now, and tell me that it's worse or better than Odysseus's The Odyssey from Christopher Nolan. Tell me if it's better or worse. Tell me if you'd like to see my version on the screens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear about this school program out of Brooklyn Park, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Many school programs are focusing on their top students, on the top of the classes. However, another initiative targets those with 2.0 GPAs and lower. Damn, I'm so glad I've graduated already. Otherwise, they would have been knocking at my door. The recent Brotherhood Summit at North Hennepin Community College brought together more than 200 students from 6 different schools to prepare for life after graduation.
So our organization is really here to serve young males of color to ensure that they attend and graduate from colleges and universities. So we work with secondary schools, grades 6 through 12, and really...
12th? 12th? Do you mean 12th? 12th? Are you going to be teaching them how to pronounce correctly, too?
Young males of color.
This Brotherhood Summit at North Hennepin...
Are you going to be teaching them that it's asked and not axed?
College brought together more than 200 students from 6 different schools to connect with mentors and prepare for life after graduation. Organizers say the goal is to rebuild the village that supports a child, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted kids socially. The Improve Your Tomorrow initiative provides mentorship to nearly 300 students in districts like Osseo and Hopkins.
All right. The only reason that I'm calling for this is because anything that is racially targeted, I'm immediately suspicious of. You tell me that your organization is collecting, only Irish kids to help them graduate from so-and-so school. I got a problem, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Because Irish kids are not the only ones that require help. I understand that many people, they heard Lawrence Fishburne go, we got to keep everything in our community black-owned, black people, just like the Jews, the kikes, the whites, the Germans, the Italians. We got to live in our own boroughs. That's not generally a great idea. It's actually how you tend to get violence among your fellow communities, whatever. Lawrence Fishburne was pretty smart in that movie until he dropped that bit of knowledge. But listen, nonprofits like this immediately make me suspicious. Do you know why? These are the exact types of things that I believe if they're collecting any ounce of government money, I immediately want an investigation launched. I don't care. You can tell me that so-and-so is, we're helping Lutheran kids read the New Testament. I don't care. Investigation. I want that building raided. I don't want turn over the desks, scare the children, scare them. I want there to be raids. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, Luigi Mangione has scored a partial victory in court as the judge has ruled that the evidence recovered in the alleged United Healthcare CEO's backpack at a McDonald's might have to be suppressed. Okay. When I look at this, when I think about it, I go, are they willing to just like throw the case out? Are we like 5 steps away from them just throwing the entire thing out of court? And if so, I want people to think about what this means for the future. Are we going to have more these vigilante types who people are going to go like, I don't like Kevin O'Leary's data center, and I'm not willing to just wait for it to be built, to burn it down. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something to Kevin O'Leary. They want like nuts. They want people that are insane to go out and do these things because it's only going to stoke even more chaos, ladies and gentlemen. So please, don't hurt Kevin O'Leary. Just don't watch Shark Tank. You know what I mean? Don't hurt him. I understand people are mad. They're like, I hate that the ticks are getting put in the woods to give us all alpha-gal syndrome. I want to kill Bill Gates. That's not the right response. Killing is exactly, you want to just kill the killers, or do you want to throw them in a cell so that they can rot for the rest of their lives? I know many people don't view that as satisfying. They're like, well, they're not dead. They killed so many people. They should die. Just enough. You are becoming the very monsters that they are programming you to be in their world. You need to be the human that they are not, ladies and gentlemen. Let's never lose that. Be the human that Eric Schmitt of Google is not, ladies and gentlemen. Co-founder of Google got booed for his AI bits that he's dropping at Arizona State University. I agree with some of the interpretations out there that this is a humiliation ritual. This is something that the $43.3 billion USD Eric Schmitt, Google's co-founder, I think in order to become a real Freemason, I think that he had to go out there and he had to humiliate himself. This is the, if you want to use the most well-known example, this is the Taylor Swift, getting the mic snatched by Kanye. This is the humiliation ritual that initiates you into the group. Let's hear it. Google, former CEO of Google, Eric Schmitt, getting booed at University of Arizona.
Architects of artificial intelligence. Interesting. The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know. We do not know the precise contours of what this. If you let me make this point, please.
This is rough.
Choose a diversity of perspectives, including the perspective of the immigrant who has.
Comparing AI to immigrants is a great move, by the way. This is going hard. This is going hard. Hear him out.
Perspective of the immigrant who has so often been the person who came to this country and made it better. We thought that we were adding stones.
If you don't already know, Schmitt's name has surfaced in the Department of Justice's Epstein files. Whatever.
To a cathedral of knowledge that humanity had been constructing for centuries.
The cathedral of knowledge that humans have been constructing for centuries. When people speak in these large, like, Masonic terms, people will look at you as a kook for putting basic signals together. People will call you a nut if you say that, oh, maybe Eric Schmitt is a Freemason. Whatever. All right, cool. That's awesome.
But the world we built, artificial intelligence that reflects those values.
Ritter, an individual, claimed that Eric Schmitt stalked her, spied on her digital communications, and forcibly raped her on multiple occasions between 2021 and 2023.
The world will be unimaginably better for it. I'll switch sides. You are surrendering your agency. We have only seen maybe 1% of what is to come. I'm very proud of this. If you don't care about science, that's okay. Because the eye is going to touch everything else as well. Whatever you choose, the eye will become part of the work is done. If you want to learn something entirely new and you want to have a personal tutor in any language for the cost of an internet connection, you can have it. You can now assemble a team of AI agents to help you with the parts that you could never accomplish on your own. When someone offers you a seat on the rocket ship, you do not ask which seat. You just get on. The rocket.
Oh my God. That's the cult language. When someone offers you a great opportunity for the future, you don't think about it, you just get on. Don't think about the actual implications of a data agency that's 3 times the size of Manhattan. It's in a largely uninhabited part of Utah. What do you care if the day temperatures are like 5 degrees hotter, 28 degrees hotter at night? What do you care? You don't even live there. It's gonna add 2,000 jobs. You can't say that it's only gonna add 1% of jobs to the state. You have to talk about Elderbox County, where technically it's gonna raise the job rate 7%. These are just little niggly, just like little finangly. I got these little factoid information. It's very grabbly. It's very. I don't want to use this term, but people will know exactly what I mean when I say it. It's Jewy. It's lawyery. It's very connivery. Let's hear it.
Someone offers you a seat on the rocket ship, you do not ask which seat. You just get on. The rocket ship is here. Let me give you some advice. First, find a way to say yes. Listen. You bring the judgment. You bring the conscience. You bring the perspective. I'll give you one final reflection. Happiness, I have come to believe, is not the same as joy. Happiness is derived from meaning. Meaning in your work, meaning in your relationships. Thank you very much and good night.
Bye. Oh, he knows that went bad. Get the fuck out of here, you loser. University of Arizona, ladies and gentlemen. University of Arizona. I love it. I'm happy about it. AI is it's coming for you. It's coming for your jobs, ladies and gentlemen. And even if you go to an institution where you think you're going to be affecting the future, you're going to learn, you're going to become a teacher or some shit like that, at your graduation, you're going to have the CEO, the former CEO, co-founder of Google, going, hey, you did a lot here the last 4 years, but Imagine how much more you're going to do once you pay us to give you a bunch of AI data assistance. That's basically what he did. Why did you start like pitching for the price of an internet connection? You can have as many of the... What are we even doing? Okay, it's gay. He's dumb. Whatever. Eric Schmitt, ladies and gentlemen, CEO, former co-founder of Google. 10 out of 10. With 8 laboratory-confirmed cases and at least 80 suspected deaths, the World Health Organization has declared a global health emergency. Typical. An emergency. Ah! Everybody freak out. Everybody start screaming. Everybody, like, if you're like standing up right now, so, like, start dancing, start stomping. Freak out. That's exactly what the World Health Organization wants you to do. They want you to be scared. In general, it's a fear campaign that we're throwing out over Ebola. I literally dropped a reference to the 2014 epidemic of Ebola, right? I was like, they're downloading the source code for Ebola. They're like, what did we run? What was that code we ran back in 2014? Re-download that source code, JavaScript it up, and let's revamp it for 2026. I predicted this. I called it a second. Like, people, go back to my predictions video. I called the Taiwan situation. I'm calling that Canada and America are going to formulate a union eventually because they realize that the only way to be competitive on the world stage with NATO and the Eastern Alliance that's formulating and the African Alliance that's coming up and the Southeast Asian Alliance with, you have a lot of situations over there. I think that people don't realize that the people are going North Atlantic Treaty Organization. No, it is the North American Treaty Organization that they are looking at, ladies and gentlemen. Canada, the United States, maybe Mexico if we can align them on our similar values. But Canada's resources, the United States' economy, we would be unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen. That is what I'm predicting. And who knows? I'm one of those types where I could be dead wrong, I could be dead right. Who knows? But Ebola, let's hear about it.
The World Health Organization has declared a global health emergency over an Ebola virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. At least 80 suspected deaths, 8 laboratory-confirmed cases, and 246 suspected cases reported as of Saturday by the UN Health Agency. The outbreak is a rare strain of Ebola, which has no approved virus-specific therapeutics or vaccines, according to the WHO.
Awesome.
Given the high positivity rate found in initial samples and an increasing number of suspected cases, the WHO says the outbreak could be much larger.
Yeah, in case you've been to, like, a Congolese village anytime soon, really check yourself, you know what I mean? I know it's like, I say it like check yourself for ticks, but like, I don't know. If you start bleeding from everywhere, maybe just go to the hospital.
This is the 17th outbreak in the DRC since Ebola was first identified in 1976. This comes around
You mean when we first dropped it?
months after the last Ebola outbreak in the DRC caused 45 deaths. The Ebola virus is highly contagious and can be contracted through bodily fluids such as vomit, blood, or semen.
I've seen outbreak.
The disease it causes is rare, but severe and often fatal.
Often fatal, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen Outbreak, 1995, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey. It's a great film. And it is about Ebola, so I'd actually recommend that people watch it for the sake of now. You know what I mean? It's just like recency. Let's close out the show. I want to talk about something really important, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about how we save the world. How do we save the nation state? How do I save the connection between us? How do I save the connection between our audience, our families, everything? How can we save humanity? Well, folks, President Trump has finally given us a glimmer of hope. He has read directly from Scripture at the Rededicate 250 National Faith event, and I'm surprised he didn't have a kippah on because, folks, at the National Mall, they transformed it into this massive open-air sanctuary on Sunday, literally yesterday, May 17th. Thousands of people packed onto the lawn for, quote, Rededicate 250, a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving. Not the holiday, like actually giving thanks for things. I know it's dumb. They billed it as a historic moment to mark America's upcoming 250th anniversary. The all-day event featured a star-studded lineup of conservative clergy. Christian musicians were there. And in the highest echelons of Trump's administration, the day was defined by a high energy of worship, waving the American flag and a coordinated call to return the country to what organizers describe as fundamental, foundational Judeo-Christian roots. Folks, I'm so sorry to say it, but the Trump administration has been as Jew-controlled and Jew-aligned, more specifically Israel-aligned, than as any Republican administration in the past, Democrat included, ladies and gentlemen. I want to make it very, very clear. Many people on the right thought that Trump was in opposition to the establishment order. He has just become the establishment order. They are so good at co-opting individuals. More often than not, they don't even realize they're being co-opted when they're going to their Catholic school, when they're being taught about Judeo-Christian values, even though Judeans, if you want to talk about their actual faith, think that Jesus Christ is boiling in excrement. If you want to talk about the deep ties that Jewish and Christian individuals have, how about the fact that one person's people murdered the other's Lord, and then the other person's people proceeded to persecute the other people's, and they've just been going at it for thousands and thousands of years since then. How fun do we want to get over this, ladies and gentlemen? The emotional peak of the rally came when the pre-recorded video of President Trump was broadcast from the Oval Office, sitting at his desk with his hands folded over the open Bible. The last time he touched one was when he got the photo op during 2020. President Trump looked directly into the camera and read from passage 2 Chronicles 7. Trump recited the famous Old Testament verse reading, and I'm just going to read it right here for you. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. The choice of scripture was no coincidence. The passage has been a staple of the conservative evangelical gatherings and all that for decades as modern rally cries for national spiritual renewal. Trump's address was backed by a unified showing from his top individuals, effectively turning the prayer festival into a major political milestone. J.D. Vance took to the stage and described the United States as a nation of prayer, while House Speaker Mike Johnson led the crowd in an explicit prayer of rededication, thanking God for guiding the country since 1776. Other prominent administration figures, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard, also delivered remarks seemingly blending American patriotism with ancient Christian theology. Folks, if you are watching The Boys season 5, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this must be really sad. This is really I know. I thankfully, thank God, never got into it. I didn't watch season 1, didn't watch season 2, none of it. I'm sorry. I didn't get it. I thought the dick jokes were excessive and very millennial core. We're filthy. We're gonna make a man shit himself till he dies. We're filthy. Do you get it? It's okay, we get it. Awesome. South Park's been doing it for years with a little bit more, I'm just going to call it, temper. It's a bit like a magic trick. We're going to obfuscate this. We're going to show you this part of the show. And before you know it, you have you have Satan skiing with Cartman or some shit. They have a great way of making things flow into it. They make it very natural, ladies and gentlemen. The Boys season 5 is apparently doing this. I'm, by the way, just reading synopses. I'm not watching the show. I'm not wasting my time. I'm hearing that many people are deeply disappointed, but also that lukewarm brains are going, the Homelander is Trump. And his administration, Trump wants to be God. It's it's people who their media literacy is it's Hunger Games. It's The Handmaid's Tale. It's people that have they quote books that they've never opened. It's a very particular crowd. And unfortunately, I want to talk about Christian nationalism. I want to talk about the effects of, the theology on the way that we run our society. However, once you get into actual Christian, the people that are I love The Boys season 5. I love how hard they're going against Christian nationalism. These are the exact same people who have Catholics for moms who are still donating to the Pope. It's your family is engaging. What are you talking? You're on your high horse all about, I'm calling out Christian nationalism. Meanwhile, you go visit her. You go visit her and you are not telling her, hey, maybe stop sending those dollars over to child traffickers in the Vatican. Maybe stop funding the New World Order. Maybe that would be a great idea. But you know what I mean. It's obvious that the types that are involved in criticizing Christian nationalism, also the moment you bring up, Jewish nationalism, the moment you bring up Islamic nationalism, they get all shaky. They're well, I don't know too much about the Middle East. Why? I only know about Christianity, so I only feel comfortable criticizing Christianity, even though I don't know anything about child marriages. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know nothing about... These people are more ignorant Americans than the people they are making fun of, in all actuality. They are dumber and more lukewarm IQ than the people that they think they're getting a joke on. It's unfortunate, it sucks, but, I want to talk about how theology in general is bad for society. I want to talk about how maybe there are some core ideas that in the Bible where it's like, don't harm thy neighbor. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Also, a woman is ready when she bleeds. Oh man, maybe this old scripture, maybe these old texts, yeah, maybe they make some good points here and there. But like, I'm seeing some stuff in here that's just not particularly like, marriage at 9? What the fuck is the Quran? What is the Quran? Like, the moment these people get their hands on any text from the actual old world, they only are familiar with like the King James version of the Bible. They're only familiar with like very narrow slices that they've learned in actual like church. Once they dabble even a little bit into the old world, once they learn about Simon of Trent, once they learn about blood libel, once they learn about like murdering children or marrying children off, raping children, they immediately just get, I don't like to talk about other societies too terrible much. I don't know about the mullahs in Iran. I don't know about the oppression of women in Islamic countries. I just think that the boys is really dunking on Christian nationals. Folks, I mean, if you don't know, if you're in that crowd, I don't know what else to say except for like, The Boys is not a great show, and there's other options for entertainment out there. Unfortunately, watch the last episode. It's probably going to be disappointing. I'm going to watch a review of it and see what people say. In the meantime, folks, I've had a wonderful Monday broadcast of Your Brain on Air. I hope you have too. This has been an awesome go of it. This is like bang, bang, bang. The energy's been great. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will be back at it again the rest of the week to cover whatever news does happen to drop. Monday through Friday, that's how we do it. Subscribe if you want to be there for it. Like if you liked it. Ring the bell for notifications. I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with Your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening. I will catch you in the next broadcast. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye-bye.